Are you saying you faked with me?
Yeah.
Wrong, now you're single.
What do you know about sexual relations?
Is it true that if you don't use it, you lose it?
I'm a little worried about being a slut.
You're listening to the Come With Us podcast, talking the good, the kinky, and the ugly. Here are your hosts, Beth, Aaron, and Tina.
Hello, 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 all you sexy holes and poles. Welcome to Come With Us podcast, where we know that sexy stuff matters just as much as the lovey-dovey stuff. We're here to help you get all the pleasure that you deserve and you want. I'm Beth Darling from BethDarling.com. Excited to be here again with Aaron today and our guest, Kacey Samiee. She is the creator and producer and co-host of Talk Dirty to Me podcast and one of the founders of Little Renegade Films. She's also a fellow kinkster who is fairly new on her journey in the world of kink, in the world of dominance. And so if you didn't catch us last week, you definitely want to go. And we talked a lot about how her professional, the podcast and Talk Dirty to Me podcast. But now we want to focus on the personal journey, right? Because the two go hand in hand. The more you talk about sexy personally, the more probably you could get into professionally, but Kacey did it the other way. Started talking professionally on a podcast and then has used it as a springboard for her personal life.
Fake it till you make it.
I mean, it's a great idea because I like how you did it because, like, I mean, we had a talk off air before the show started recording that, like, that's how I've kind of expanded a little bit on my horizon. Like, and that's kind of what it is. I like the way you did it because you're like, hey, I want to learn more about it. And then after it was like, okay, I've gotten my like basic, like sitting in a classroom, reading and listening, talking about things. Now it's time to actually go and do the, like, what is it called? Kinesthetic learning? Is that the one where you like hands-on?
Wow.
Yeah. Lab hours.
I know a word more than
lab
8 letters. But yeah, I like that idea because it's a very,
It worked well.
yeah.
It worked out well.
Yeah.
I love that. All right.
And then you can always, if there's ever something you do and you don't like, you can always write it off to like, oh, it's show research. Like,
yeah,
I had to like,
I had to try it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So last show though, you mentioned that somehow or another, you'd always sort of been interested, I guess, in dominance, but you said you found yourself with a slave. I just love that. And I tried to be so patient waiting to bring this up because I'm like, how does one just find themselves with a slave?
I like how also the fact that she said that, what 3 minutes into a 40-minute episode last week, and you and I just fucking kept going, like didn't even blink twice. Like, yeah, why the fuck wouldn't you? Like, that's awesome. Keep going. Like,
I know. I'm like,
that wasn't like any other podcast that doesn't talk about this stuff would go, wait, hold on, let's hold up the brakes for a second. Let's address this before we go on. And we were like, no, we'll come back to that. Like, that's the obvious stuff there.
Oh, hilarious.
Oh yeah, but do tell.
Yeah. I suddenly found myself the owner of a slave magically. So thank you, Instagram. It's really how all of this got started. Talk Dirty to Me included was, so I had mentioned that I always earlier in my life, I felt more submissive and had an experience at being submissive for a while, which was fitting to that period of my life and what I was experiencing and going through and needing in relationships. And then that ended and I didn't really do anything for a while because it was actually a pretty bad situation. And then later in life, I was like, oh, I feel like I like being domme. And there's really no good, like, you can't just get on the internet and be like, where's the class to be a dom? And they exist, but and this is also like, this was all, I think my problem was that this was right in the beginning of the pandemic. So I found a class and I signed up and then they were like, never mind. So, and also like, there's just the barrier to entry is strange in kink world because there's community that you have to be a part of. You have to know people. Like, you can't just be like, hey, I'm a dom now. And people aren't going to go, great, here's my money. Or like, will you spank me? Because people are very cautious and they don't know you. And They want you to have references and things like that. So it's just like getting any other job, right? So the barrier to entry for me seemed like it was like the energy that it was going to take overpowered the willingness of me to do it at the time. And I found myself in phases of my life where I was like doing YouTube research and trying to figure it out. But then when it came to actually applying it or jumping in, I was like, I don't know how to get clients. And nobody had ever mentioned Fetlife to me before. So anyways, I was on Instagram, living my best Instagram life. I have a very curated Instagram page. It's very, it's very pretty, not great if you don't feel great about yourself. I realize that now. So I try to make it less curated. But because I do a lot of modeling, it's just one of my side hobbies. So I have very beautiful photos up there, professionally done photos. And what happened was somebody had come to me and been like, hey, I'm an artist. I really like, I find people and I really like to draw them. Would it be all right if I draw one of your photos? And I was like, sure. And I went to his page and I was like, oh, this guy he draws butts. Ooh. He's into booties and he draws very beautiful booties. And then I looked at my page and I was like, I don't really have any booty pictures, but I guess he found something that he's okay with. And then a couple days later, he actually came back and was like, so yeah, you don't have any butt pictures? Do you have any butt pictures I can draw? And I was like, oh, no, hold on. So I like ran to a photographer I know and like had a boudoir shoot and gave him some options and he drew one. But because of this, we started a dialogue and had some conversations. And I guess he kind of smelled it on me because when you're in that world, you can just kind of smell it on people. Like once you have enough experience as a dom or a sub, you can see how somebody acts in the world or just the essence or energy that they give off. And they're like, you like to spank people, don't you? Like they just know or whatever, you know? And he had some experience with a woman that was very dominant and he had dated her and he found out through that process that he really liked to worship and he really liked feet and he really liked being submissive. And he had since broken up with that partner and we had totally normal conversations that didn't indicate any sort of kink or dom or sub stuff. But one day he just kind of started talking about this past girlfriend and then all of a sudden sent me a message, was like, would it be all right if I worshiped you? And I paused because like normal Kacey is very logical and grounded and safe and smart. And like, there's a large part of my brain that would like normally just wanted to be like, no, thank you. But like, you know, Ghostbusters, if somebody asks you if you are a god, you say yes, right? Like when somebody asks if they can worship you, who says no to that?
Well,
nobody.
I would be like, but how? What does worship you mean?
I said, I took a minute and I was like, huh. And then I said, yes, you can worship me. And then I followed up very quickly with, what does that mean for you? What exactly are you talking about?
I love that you said yes first, because the lawyer in me is like, no, I don't answer until I have all the information.
I don't think that's a lawyer thing. I think that's just like don't jump off the bridge before you know how deep the water is thing. Because that again would have been my first friggin' thing. Has been like, what part chance does that entail? Like, why are you? I need to know because I mean,
what am I signing up for?
Worship is a very subjective word. So what someone like, if like somebody were to say, I want to worship you, I'd be like, what are you defining as worshiping? Like, are you going to build a statue of me and like as an idol, like as the Aztecs or the Mayans did? Like, where are we going with this?
Just your cock, Aaron. Just your cock. Nothing else. Just your cock. Yeah.
Yeah. Ain't nobody lining up for this.
All right. So Kacey, so what did he say when you?
So he said he really likes foot worship. He's really into feet. So massaging and washing feet. He was really into giving pleasure and not receiving pleasure. Being furniture, which is a thing I found out that people really love to do, just be furniture for you that you use. He wanted me to feed him snacks with my toes, all the stuff that sounded really great. He did venture over into the more sexually explicit side, being like, I want to give you pleasure and not receive pleasure. And I was like, I don't know you. This is when my lawyer kicked in and I was like, that doesn't do it for me. Like sex with a stranger, like you have to work a little harder than that. for me to be interested in that. And also in my kink world, I really don't. I think this ties in last week to, we talked about like, do I tell people? Do we not tell people? For me, kink doesn't include a sexual interaction or encounter. For many people, it does. And I think by and large, the world thinks that if you're kinky, it involves penetration or sex in some fashion. And one of the reasons I don't care if people think or know that I do dom stuff or that I run a kink podcast, or I don't think it'll like hurt my acting career or whatever, is because I like don't associate those two. And I feel like it could only help me, because in this day and age, it's all about followers and influence ability. So nobody's going to not cast me in their film because I have too many followers because I'm a dom. But if like my vagina was all over the internet, that might be something different.
Which, by the way, is absurd and ridiculous. But
it is absurd and ridiculous that would
Side,
affect you
we won't
negatively.
take it
And I
down
think,
that.
I think the world is changing now. But
But it's also interesting to me because to me, kinky and sexy are integrated. Like having it bifurcated doesn't do it for me, which is fun.
well, I don't think it's necessarily
it's interesting.
bifurcated. Like one of my main sub right now is married with children, and he's very successful, and his wife knows that he has this kink, but she's like not into it. So we have a lovely time. I domming him, doing things that don't involve his genitals or my genitals. He just needs to feel submissive and get his bottom ripped apart with cane. And that's super fun for me. And there's like really there's no sex involved, which is like, yeah. So like kink sex being involved. So far in my experience, my experience is short at this moment, is that having sex involved isn't fun for me. That's not how I want to have sex. Being a dom when I'm having sex sounds exhausting. I need somebody to be come at me with the same energy and show me that they're as interested. So just being in charge of telling somebody what to do just is like, I need you to want it. Right.
Yeah.
And I just like, but yeah, I just, at this point, it could change at some point, but right now I'm like, if you need to come over here and get spanked and then get jerked off, then I'm not the dom for you. And I don't think that's as abnormal. Like, I don't think that's as abnormal as people think. Right now, I believe kink is synonymous with some sort of sexual interaction. And I found many people who are looking for play partners who actually don't want that. And it's lovely. Anyways, so
play partners, just for people who don't know, because that's sort of a kinky term, is the idea that those are people that are not necessarily primary relationships or romantic relationships necessarily, but are people with whom you explore kinky, whether that includes sexy or not, for you want. So
anywho, so he asked me if he could worship me. He told me what it meant, and I was like, that sounds great. Let's do it. And then we had back and forth. I tried to meet up with him several times. It never worked out. I was like, you're gonna talk, you gotta walk to walk, but he kept rescheduling, and I actually haven't spoken to him in a very long time. But because of that experience, and because of hearing my co-host Stephanie's story it was my experience with that and hearing Stephanie's story that I was like, oh, this is a podcast. I have a story to tell now. Because at that point I was like, oh, I'm on my way to having a harem of slaves and I can't wait. Right?
I want a stable of studs.
Yes, I need a stable of studs to take into a kink party on leashes. My dreams are coming true. Right. So I thought I was headed somewhere with this guy. And so I started the podcast, and like over the course of the podcast, every week I would get updates. And like I said, Tosin was he's been in the kink and fetish world for a long time. So he's a wonderful guiding light and telling me like what to do. So I got my Fetlife profile up. Fetlife, if you haven't been there, it's a terrible place. It's a terrible place. It has a lot of benefit, but it's also just a terrible place. If you don't like dicks being thrown at your face, don't go there. It's just dick pics. It's just a pile of dick pics.
It can be overwhelming for newbies and stuff too, if you just go in there, because there's everything. There are good people, there are some good things, then there's some really creepy things, and there's just everything. It's the world.
It's a microcosm of humanity.
Yes.
Yeah.
The real world.
There needs to be Fetlife guides and like an intro package that comes with it. And there's not. You just kind of figure it out on your own, and you go in there and you're like, oh, I'm never coming back.
Yes.
And then you leave. And then
said
maybe
it's like seeing into the ocean, and it just goes on and gets deeper and deeper and deeper. It's just like, yes.
and then 6 weeks later, you're like, I guess I'll go back in there. Somebody apparently sent me a message. And then you read the message, you're like, nope, bye,
Yeah.
see ya. Right. But so I got on Fetlife and I work like because of the podcast, and I had been given homework and Tosin helped me with my profile. I was able to get a profile up and I left it up this time.
Yeah.
Didn't abandon it. And because of that, and because of my co-host Stephanie's profile, because she's like thebomb.com. So people just come to her, and she's on the brat side of things. And this, I won't call her submissive, but she's a bottom. But I don't know. Men don't read. Men don't read. True fact. I have lots of scientific evidence to back it up. So because men wanting to be submissive would come to her and be like, can I be your submissive? And she's like, have you read my profile at all? Or are you just looking at my photo? And the answer is they're just looking at her photo and they haven't read. So she would respond, be like, the person you're looking for is Goddess Hecate, which is my Fetlife name. And she would send them to me. And so I had, because of that, lots of interesting interactions. And people find me on their own eventually, because I finally filled out that I'm like a dom and I'm looking for slaves and submissives or whatever. And so people come to me on their own as well. And so because of that, I was able to find people to have experiences with. And again, my own journey in this is fairly short and recent. So I've had a small number of experiences, but enough to know a lot more now.
Oh, yeah.
Enough to be like, oh, it's going to take a while to find really awesome people that you match well with, because everybody's crazy.
I mean, look at it. That's finding a relationship in general. Like, you have
True.
how many billion people, almost 10 billion people in the world. And yeah, you're going to have to weed through like fucking nose high piles of shit of human existence before you find somebody who A, you're willing to put up with, B, they're willing to put up with you, C, you actually find attractive, they find you attractive. Like the fact of, and everybody, and I have like single friends who have bitched and complained about stuff. I'm like, just because you have a couple of friends around you, or some of your circle of friends are in relationships, you realize you're standing with like lottery ticket holders, because finding a human that you can make a relationship, or especially a romantic or a physical relationship, work with is extremely rare in the entire auspices of human interaction.
Yeah,
and
because there
actually,
are a lot of relationships, and they're just not that happy and healthy, right?
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's very easy to find something. You can take a puzzle piece and just shove it, somehow cut it off or bend it and whatever. It's just not necessarily a good fit. So, yeah, I think that's...
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, that makes sense that like, oh, hey, you signed up for this website, and like, yeah, you have to wade through a whole bunch of people and a whole bunch of stupid before,
a whole bunch of
like,
stupid.
and that's
there's a little bit of difference. There's a little bit of difference in that, in the world, when it comes to finding a romantic partner or whatever, like you're interacting with somebody on kind of equal, like it's not necessarily always the internet, which gives people weird power, they feel like, to be assholes and crass or troll or whatever, right? In the world, when I meet people, it's usually at an event and we're alive standing next to each other, because I don't do online dating, and you can tell very quickly they're not going to like take off their pants and be like, this is my dick. Now are you interested? Whereas on Fetlife, people are just hurling penises at your face, and they're like, do you like this penis? How about this penis? How about this penis in your tits? How about this penis in your butt? And you're just like, are you reading my profile? The answer is no, and there's nothing I can do to stop the idiocy. Cool. Or people do get to the point where they're like, I haven't even talked about this on Talk Dirty to Me yet, because we've had so many guests, I haven't been able to give a personal update. But I met with a new slave, and it was a great learning experience, because what I learned is he didn't know what he wanted, and I need somebody to know what they want so I can fully embody that for them. Otherwise, I'm just like, what do you want here? And he couldn't answer that question. So it wasn't a great experience, right? So there's people out there who seem on paper like they're great, but they're really like, it turns out it's not a great fit, or they're new on their journey too, and they don't know how to deal with it. Or, there's just so many, like, I mean, I guess it's like going on a coffee date and being like, at the end being like, well, that didn't fit. We won't be calling each other, But genitals aren't involved on coffee dates.
Yeah. Well, and I would think,
I mean,
though,
depending on how great the coffee date goes, sometimes they are.
Sometimes they are.
But I mean, that's also kind of the gift and the curse of the internet is like, I have this device right here that I can find any knowledge of human existence, anything anybody has learned about the world in a nanosecond if I really want to. I can learn who invented the carburetor. I can learn how to change a carburetor. I can learn if I forgot who invented the cotton gin. Eli Whitney, I remember school. Haha, I wasn't a complete failure. But I can do anything like that. But at the same time, it gives, when it comes to the social interaction, it gives everybody this huge anonymity where they can just do whatever they want. Like, because that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. I guess I never really had to do the date. I never did the dating. Dating apps weren't around when I ended up, getting in a serious relationship with my wife. So I never had to deal with that like stupid idea of like, hey, let me send a stranger a picture of my junk. Like, to me, that just seems like a bad idea anyways, because if you're going to do it to be anonymous, aren't you worried that there's some type of, and maybe this is just paranoid, watch too much CSI and NCIS and shit growing up. Like, aren't you worried they're going to pick out like one detail and be like, I know who that is?
Okay. So I have to say though,
anyway, sorry, that's a huge divergence.
Well, but there is another take, because I actually, in my book, in the 5 Kinds of Intimacy, I shared a story where I'd been talking to a guy that I hadn't really gotten to know yet. Spent a couple of hours talking to him on the phone, and it got very personal, because that's just the way I do. I'm not very good at social small talk and stuff. And then he sends me a dick pic. And I was like, what? Like, I was indignant. What the hell? We're just talking. We haven't even kissed. But instead of just blowing him off, I called him, because I did like him and stuff. And I was like, why the hell would you do this? And I said, I just want you to know, if this was somebody else, they'd be like reporting you or something. This is not what women generally want or respect or appreciate. He's like, wait. He's like, we've been talking about all this stuff that's so personal. He's like, that's way more intimate than a kiss. He's like, I thought it was sexy. Like, I just thought we were going along with the sexy vibe. And I hadn't realized, but he really did. He just thought, like, if I just sent a flirty, I don't know what people do, these fish pics, with their lips or something or whatever. This was his version of basically showing me what he thought was his best attribute, right? I might show people my legs because I have great legs. He thinks his dick is one of his best attributes. So that was his version of sharing with me.
I think that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
But that's because we don't grow up with that. Like, somehow or another, I think that they really do. And especially on Fetlife, these guys are like, well, what separates me? And that's their manhood. That's their, I understand that it also can be sometimes that they're just trying to be obnoxious or just trying to shock or force themselves. But I do think there are people who just are a little misguided and thinking that this is sexy or something, or that this is bearing themselves. I don't know. So I just suggest people talk and think about it, particularly before they send pics.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I think that man lives now and he understands that that's his genitals and that you can't do that.
Yeah.
Also, but I agree there's some sort of misconception about, like, I do believe that they think it's their best attribute, and they think that their penis is a gateway to pleasure for women. Yep. And otherwise, why would they make it their profile picture? So many men are just like, you don't need to see my face. Here's my cock. Right. And it's like, they don't really realize that that's not what does it for women. They are very proud of their penis, but I would prefer, like, what turns me on more is like a fucking confident, sexy picture of your face. And which is on a Fetlife, you can't really do that, right? But there's ways to portray that without putting your face in it, as opposed to just being like, this is my dick. It will bring you so much pleasure. And I'm just like, but it won't.
Yeah.
You don't know me.
Right. But I do think maybe that if they grow up, like women, we grow up with so much public shaming around our bodies and our pussies particularly and stuff. So in some ways, I also think that maybe this is their little defensive, that they're responding to with defensiveness by putting it out there. Like, I'm proud of my cock, right? I'm not going to be ashamed of it. Damn it. But probably they've been shamed by it. So I don't know. Anyway, that's just my little diversion. But Fetlife is interesting. There certainly are all sorts of characters. But going to the fact that this person, this new slave, is interested in being a slave, but doesn't know what they like. I think that's an interesting place to be, because I certainly did that as a sub, went into this, went to my first kinky party and was like, oh my God, like I found my people. Oh my God, I had no idea. And I felt this huge sense of relief that there were other people doing kinky things that I had never imagined anybody else did, and was like, okay, I can actually be myself. I can have my desires here and not be totally mortified and ashamed. But what does that mean I want? And I didn't know. So I did have, I had to meet other doms and stuff and tell them that I don't know what I want. I can't tell you because I just have no idea. And there was a process of just exploration, I think, to try and figure that out. So I guess maybe that's what people, if he had told you that before, like, I am interested in being a slave, I'm not quite sure what it is, but I'd like to explore. So maybe there are things that you like that we could try together. Would that have been more appealing to you?
That would have been more appealing for sure. Because he came in with ideas and things and we tried those. I couldn't get him. I tried so hard to have conversations with him and it kind of worked, but ultimately didn't. So I asked him a lot of questions because I'm not going to just start crushing somebody's balls, right?
Yes.
I need to know that you want that. I love when I say things and Aaron's like, oh.
Nope. There are certain things that should be treated certain ways, but that's not one of them.
Not according to people who love cock and ball torture.
I know.
Yes.
And yeah, you know what? Y'all have fun with that shit. Y'all enjoy yourselves.
And I just realized people who are listening didn't realize that Aaron did make that a very, very.
I have a feeling. I was going to say this last episode. I have a feeling from 90 seconds into the first episode with Kacey, I'm going to be interested to see our actual listener drop off and then video pickup.
Yeah.
Because not even that. It's you have a very gorgeous sounding voice and it matches
thank you.
with you, but you have a sultry and seductive sounding voice, which is great. Which is, I mean, I don't know what your co-hosts sound like, but if they sound anything like you, holy shit. I can see why you guys get so many listeners, because that's 90. And I've worked in radio almost a decade. The very first time you tell somebody who's experienced, I want to be on air, they go, okay, talk to me. And you go, what do you mean? And they're like, just fucking talk. Like, I need to hear your voice. I need to hear that you don't sound like, oh, who was was it Bruce Valanche, who had the really nasally and smoky sounding voice? Like, he had a niche to fill as an actor and as a voice guy. But you can't be that guy and expect everybody in the world wants to listen to you on their morning drive into work for 20 minutes straight. Like, you have to have a good voice to be in this audio medium, or it helps to be in this audio medium with a good voice. And that's just not, I mean, Kacey has it abundantly compared to others that I've known and listened to. I'm like, God, like, somebody should have told you not to, like, maybe the video medium is better for you, but the audio medium is not your friend.
Well, that's funny. So apparently last episode, we should have told people, go watch the YouTube episode, because looking at Kacey is good. So
thanks, friends.
Yeah. And Aaron's expression. So anyway, okay. So if somebody can't make conversation and stuff, I think that's a problem. But for people out there who are listening that might be interested in either meeting somebody else or even talking to your partner about stuff, I think that what you might want to take away from this is that you need to own up to what you know, what you don't know, what you're curious about, and you need to actually be able to use your words. Because, especially at the beginning.
Also, what happened was because I met him twice, and the second time when he came in, we had tried things, and he came in the door and he didn't. There were things that we tried and he didn't like, and he didn't come in the door with that information. I had to pull it out of him later. I was like, remember when I did this thing? And I asked it halfway through our time together. I was like, did you like it when I did this last week? And he was like, no, actually it was really scary. And I was like, okay, good
we have
to
safe
know.
words for that shit. Come on.
Good to know. And I was trying to encourage him the whole time. I was like, if you don't like something, you can tell me. Like, I know I'm a dom and supposed to be asserting dominance, but I'm also a human being, and I don't want to hurt you or give you trauma or a bad experience. So if I'm doing something in the moment, you can tell me you don't like it. Don't worry, I'll torture you another way. We'll figure it out together. But it was like halfway through our second session when there was like 3 things that came up. He was like, yeah, I didn't really like that or that either. I was like, well, good to know. Thanks for letting me know. But also okay, then we need to go back to square one and figure out what you do like. And he couldn't, there wasn't a lot of information given. And like, I felt it was a bad session. I was really uncomfortable about that because the only thing I knew he liked was me sticking my feet in his mouth. And I was like, how am I supposed to do that for 45 minutes? Like, I mean, I guess if you like it, but I just feel like that's not very satisfying after some time. And I like showed up with all these ideas. I was like, I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do this, and it's going to be great. And like all of that went out the door in the first 10 minutes. I was like, oh, you didn't like all of those things. And now I don't know what to do.
Right. And you do. So I guess that's one of the biggest lessons I've learned from entering the kink world is this idea that people really do expect you to talk, and they expect you
you have to
own what you like, what you don't like, what you're scared about, what you're curious about but afraid of, and Aaron always says communication's the key. And I say it's only the key if you know what you're communicating. But when it comes to kinky, when it comes to your best sexy, you better own your own sexy to figure out what it is so that you can communicate effectively with others. Again, otherwise it just dissipates. It's like not fun for anybody.
Yeah.
And we all know less than great sexy. We might settle for it, but we all know it.
It happens frequently. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So personally, we've got to wrap up. This has been so much fun. Clearly, we could talk forever. I say chemistry is not just about romantic, because when I first met Kacey, I immediately felt a connection. And again, it was in a very vanilla setting and stuff. But I'm so thrilled that we've gotten this time together. And I know there's more goodness ahead.
Me too. Thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I feel really honored.
Awesome. Back at you. So what would you tell people through this journey, your journey into kink personally and stuff? What have you maybe learned or advice you'd want to give to listeners out there?
Yeah, I would say that if you have a kink inkling, which is like, maybe I think I might like this, but there's no good way to explore it because it's kink or whatever. I'd say do it. Start doing all of the things, like get on Fetlife, even though it's super awkward. Talk to people, even though it's super, super awkward. And know that in the beginning, it's going to be real messy and you're going to find out what you like and what you don't like. But that journey is very important and it's part of the process. It's like learning any new skill. And eventually you'll get through that phase and you'll know exactly what you like and you don't like. And then you'll find all the appropriate people to work with and play with. And like the only way I can, what other people have said and my own experience is like, once you can solidify that for yourself and you find the right people, you feel free and more like yourself and like less hidden, and all of that is always good, and it's worth the effort and work. It's worth all of the penises that will be digitally thrown at your face, which maybe you like that, in which case get on Fetlife right now. Tons. Immediately.
So much there. All right. I like that. Very good. Thank you, Kacey. It's been a pleasure. I can't wait to see what's your podcast, Talk Dirty to Me podcast, what you do, who you've got on next, all the different topics. And it's exciting. I'm so glad to connect. So again, for anybody out there, if you want to follow, learn more about Kacey, you can go to her website, littlerenegadefilms.com.
Mm-hmm.
And
all sorts of podcasts and web series and things. There's a variety of sweet treats for you.
Oh, I like that. I love sweet treats. So, all right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us for Come With Us podcast. On behalf of Aaron and myself, we're here to give you the bare naked truth about love, sex, and relationships. So, and of course, more sexy fun tips, tricks, etc. on our social media on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Don't wait. Go follow us now. We want to hear from you and stay in touch. So thank you. And we will see you next week with more sexy goodness. Take care. Big hugs. Bye.
Thanks for listening to the Come With Us podcast. Be sure to follow us on social media at Come With Us Podcast and send in your questions, comments, and confessions to comewithusconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, keep it fun, flirty, and naughty.